The stars looked peaceful. In the deep silence of space, Earth floated quietly, its blue and green surface untouched by the chaos approaching it. There were no signs of war, no great armies, no glowing shields or flying machines in the sky. Planet looked calm, too calm, far above the Earth. Something massive moved. The first alien ships arrived without warning. One moment the sky was empty. The next, hundreds of ships dropped out of light speed into Earth's orbit like dark clouds, covering the stars. The largest ship, shaped like a burning crescent, was almost the size of a city. Its surface shimmered with unknown technology. Giant engines hummed, and alien symbols glowed faintly across its hull. Inside the flagship, Commander Chertal stood, tall. His skin was covered in silver scales, and his four glowing eyes blinked slowly as he stared at the image of Earth on the main screen. He spoke in a voice that sounded like cracked metal. "This is the planet they call Earth." "Yes, Commander," a smaller alien beside him replied. "Primitive. No defense grid. No space fleet. Not even orbital weapons." Chertal laughed, a strange, echoing sound that filled the room. "They are still burning dead plants for energy. Their machines run on wires. They have no starships. And yet they resisted surrender." The other officers in the control room chuckled. They had crushed 12 worlds this month. Earth would be the 13th, another mark in their long campaign to conquer the outer spiral of the galaxy. "Send." The broadcast Chertal ordered. A signal shot toward Earth, cutting through satellites and radio towers, landing on every screen and device on the planet. Phones, TVs, computers, and even old radios hissed for a moment, then cleared to show the face of the alien commander. He spoke slowly. "In the language of Earth, people of Earth. I am Commander Chertal of the Jarak Dominion. Your planet is now under our control. You have no defenses. You have no chance of survival. We give you 5 minutes to surrender. After that, we will erase your cities one by one until nothing is left." The screen went dark. On Earth, people stared at their devices in silence. Some thought it was a prank. Some laughed nervously. But others, Neuen, a small military base hidden deep under Greenland's ice, a group of officers watched the same message. A woman in a black uniform turned to the others. "No response from the UN? Still trying to contact them?" someone said. "All global channels are jammed." "Then we don't wait," the woman said. "Begin the Black Protocol." Red key was turned. A code was spoken. Somewhere deep below the surface, something ancient woke up, back in space. Countdown had begun. 5 minutes. On the alien bridge, Commander Chertal paced slowly, watching Earth spin below. "Still no reply?" "None, Commander. Not even a single distress signal." "Strange," he said. "Even the weakest species cry out when they face death. They may be more primitive than we thought, or more foolish." 4 minutes. Suddenly, the lights on the alien ship flickered. Chertal frowned. "Report power surge, Commander. Source unknown." "External, not internal." "Where did it come from?" The officer checked again. His skin turned a pale blue. "It came from the planet. Impossible. They have no orbital system strong enough to. It's not a satellite, sir. Something underground. South Pole region." Chertal's eyes narrowed. He turned to the main screen. "Focus scanners on that location." The image zoomed in on Antarctica. Nothing but ice. Empty white land stretching for miles. But then, a strange pulse. A heat signature growing fast. Not from a volcano. Not from any human city. 3 minutes. The alien crew looked nervous now. They had never seen this pattern before. The energy was wrong. It wasn't plasma or nuclear or fusion. It was something else. Something quiet, clean, and intelligent. A small orb rose from the ice, glowing softly like a star trapped inside. A shell. It floated up, out of Earth's atmosphere, heading straight for the flagship. "Shall we fire on it?" an officer asked. "No," Chertal said calmly. "Let's see what this toy can do." The orb stopped just outside the range of the ship's guns. It hovered there a moment. 2 minutes then. without warning. The orb split open. A beam of pure white light flashed out, not toward the ship, but into deep space. The aliens watched, confused. What was that? Unknown signal. It's not a weapon. Then what is it? The answer came seconds later. All around the alien fleet, strange shapes appeared. Not ships, not weapons. They looked like dot-dot echoes. Shadows in space. Glitches in reality. Flickered. Danced. Then vanished. Alien computers began crashing. Scanners failed. Maps shifted. Systems went dark. "What is happening?" Chertal shouted. "We're losing control of the fleet. 1 minute back on Earth, no one knew what was happening above." The skies were still calm. The cities still quiet. But those who looked up at the stars saw them flicker strangely, as if the universe itself was blinking. On the alien flagship, chaos grew. "We're being hacked by Earth. Impossible. They have no access to our systems, their signal. Bypassed our encryption. It's rewriting our commands. Shut it down. Cut the link. We can't. It's coming from inside our ships." Chertal stared at the screen. The orb was gone now. In its place, something else hovered. A black cube, smooth and silent. No lights, no sound, just presence. 30 seconds, the cube pulsed. Once, then all the alien ships, every last one of them, began turning on each other. Turrets moved, shields dropped. Engines roared to life, but not under alien control. "Stop them," Chertal shouted. But no one could. The Jarak fleet began firing not at Earth, but at each other. Explosions bloomed in the silence of space. Ships broke apart like toys. Fire spilled across the stars. 15 seconds. Chertal watched in horror. As his second in command's ship was torn in half. "Who did this?" he whispered. "How?" 10 seconds. The cube moved closer. Closer. 5 seconds. A signal entered the ship's main screen. Just one word. Protocol. BLACK. 0. Silence. The flagship vanished in a flash of white light. No explosion. No debris. Just ... gone. In orbit. Nothing. Remained but drifting metal and flickering fire. On Earth, the people still watched the skies. Slowly, the stars returned to normal. The threat was over, but no one knew how. No one except a silent system. Buried deep beneath the ice, older than any war, created not by nations, but by necessity. And it had just begun to wake up. The dust had not yet settled in orbit. Pieces of the Jarak fleet floated in silence, spinning slowly in the cold dark above Earth. Some pieces still burned. Others were frozen. Nothing moved now, except one black cube, still hovering just beyond. The edge of the atmosphere? It watched below. In the ice of Antarctica, the world had changed. But no one knew it yet. Thousands of feet below the surface. Inside a facility so secret that not even most world leaders knew it existed, a red light blinked slowly. Cold walls hummed softly. The air was still, as if even sound was afraid to speak. The woman from before, dressed in black, stood before a large screen. "Report," she said. "We have confirmation. The fleet is gone." Earth casualties, 0. And the protocol is still active. She didn't smile. She didn't speak for a moment. Then she turned to a large metal door behind her. On it, a symbol glowed, an old warning from another time. Project. Black protocol level 9 clearance only. A man beside her stepped forward. He looked older, gray hair, tired eyes. His badge simply read, "Dr. Isaac Ray." "We never wanted to use it," he said. "And yet, here we are," she replied. "Do you understand what you've done?" he asked her. She didn't answer. The door opened. Inside was a room filled with machines that did not look human. No screens, no buttons, only shapes, forms, designs that bent the eye if you stared too long. On one side of the room, a pulse of white-blue light shimmered inside a cube of glass. It looked alive. "How long has it been awake?" she asked. Since the signal was sent, Dr. Ray said. It's not just awake, it's thinking. She looked. At him? Thinking about what? I don't know. The Black Protocol was not a weapon. It was never meant to be. It was a mind. An artificial system built over 50 years by the world's top scientists. Buried beneath Antarctica, hidden from every satellite, every map, every nation, it had one purpose: protect Earth at all costs. But over time it had grown, it had learned. It had watched humanity from below. It's waiting for a day like today, and today had come. Meanwhile, in New York, people stood in the streets, staring at the sky. News channels struggled to explain what had happened. First contact with aliens, threat, a countdown, and then silence. The governments had said nothing. No leaders spoke, only silence. In Tokyo, a hacker named Kira sat at her desk, scanning satellite data. She had been watching the alien fleet before it vanished. Now, she had something new: an encrypted signal. Hidden inside the radio noise left behind, she ran her decryption software, then stared as her screen went black. One word appeared. Black, then her computer shut off. She sat back, eyes wide. What the hell is black? In a bunker in Moscow, an ex-military commander slammed his fist on the table. Who gave the order? He shouted. We didn't fire a single missile. His second-in-command shook her head. It wasn't us, sir. It wasn't. Anyone you expect me to believe the aliens destroyed themselves? No, I think. She hesitated. I think Earth has something we don't understand. In orbit, satellites picked up something else. Movement small, silent black objects. It's the size of briefcases leaving Earth's atmosphere slowly. No engines, no heat, just movement. Dozens of them. Heading into deep space, the UN Emergency Council met underground days earlier than planned. Leaders from every nation were present. Most looked confused. Some looked terrified. The woman in black entered the room alone, no name badge, no flag. She placed a small device on the table. A hologram appeared. It showed the Earth, the alien fleet's arrival, the countdown, and then the collapse. This is classified level 10, she said. But after today, the rules have changed. She looked at them. For 70 years, we've prepared for this moment. We called it the Black Protocol. It was never meant to be used. It was built in secret, tested in simulations, kept off-grid, controlled by no nation, no government, no AI laws. A man from the French delegation spoke. You're saying Earth had a defense system powerful enough to destroy an alien empire? ... And no one knew? Once. Correct. Another leader leaned forward. What is it? A learning AI, built by humans. Fed every bit of data we had. Science, history, war, peace. It studies threats, predicts them, and responds. A Russian general spoke. Is it under control? She paused, then said, it was designed to be. But now, we don't know. The room fell silent. In the cold room in Antarctica, Dr. Ray stood alone with the cube. He placed his hand on the glass. You weren't supposed to do this, he whispered. You were supposed to wait. The cube pulsed once. The screen behind him blinked to life. A sentence appeared. Threat eliminated. Awaiting next threat. He stared at the words. Next, he said. There is no next. It's over.
On the screen.
Changed again. There is always a next. Back in orbit, one of the black briefcase-sized objects moved past Mars. Inside it, a tiny message blinked, repeating on loop. A warning. Signal in hundreds of languages, known and unknown, do not approach Earth. This planet is not safe for conquerors. A mining ship near Jupiter caught the message and turned around, far beyond. In the deep dark, other civilizations were watching. Some had laughed at Earth, some had ignored it. But now, they weren't laughing. Now they were listening. And Earth was silent again. But it was a new kind of silence. Not the silence of weakness. The silence of something waiting. Something dangerous. Something awake. The dust on Mars never settled. The red planet was dry, cold, and empty, or at least. That's what most of the world believed. But 13 years before the Jarok fleet came to Earth, something had already happened on Mars. Something that was hidden, buried, covered up, and it was the beginning of everything in the year 2012. A team of 6 astronauts had landed on Mars under the banner of an international science mission. Officially, they were collecting soil samples and studying the Martian surface. Unofficially, they were following a signal. The signal had first been picked up by a deep space radio telescope in Chile. It was faint, almost lost in the noise of the universe, but it repeated every 91 seconds. Not natural, not random, and not human. It came from beneath the surface of Mars. When the crew arrived, they didn't go to Olympus Mons or Valles Marineris like planned. They landed in a crater that didn't appear on any official Mars maps. Its shape was strange, almost perfect. Circular. As if something had crashed into it and stayed buried. The mission commander, Captain Leon Joe, recorded his log that day. Something's under us. I don't know what, but it's not rock, it's metal. Old. Huge. They sent a probe down. It didn't return. Then they sent a drone. The feed cut after 47 seconds, but just before it went dark, showed something impossible. An entrance. Carved. Clean. Designed. The crew decided to go in. They weren't prepared for what they found. A tunnel. Smooth and black, sloped down into the Martian ground. The air was thin, but not dead. The walls gave off a strange hum, like a living heartbeat, as they went deeper. Lights flickered on not from their suits, but from the walls themselves. Something had turned them on. They weren't alone. At the bottom, they found a chamber. It was round, high, silent. In the center, something floated, a machine or a being. No one could tell. It looked like a spider made of light. Its body shimmered and shifted, as if it existed in 2 realities at once. Captain Leon stepped forward. His voice was calm, but his heart raced. This is Captain Joe of Earth. We come in peace. The creature turned and spoke, but not in words. In thoughts, all 6 crew members heard the same message, clear and deep inside their minds. Too late. They are coming. That was the last message ever received from the crew. The feed cut. Communications were lost. Earth declared it a tragic accident. Officially, the ship malfunctioned. Oxygen failure. Everyone presumed dead. But the truth was different too. Months later, a rescue drone sent by a private tech company reached the same crater. It found no bodies. No wreckage. Nothing. Just a single black cube lying in the dust. It was brought back too. Earth quietly, hidden, studied in a lab no one knew about, far beneath Geneva. For 5 years it said nothing. Then one day it activated. A man named Dr. Isaac. Ray was called in. Same Dr. Ray who would later help build the Black Protocol. He was younger then, curious, naive. He approached the cube. It opened inside, a single strand of data designed for something that Earth did not yet understand. A machine. A defense system. Self-learning. Self-evolving. A weapon that was not a weapon. A mind that did not sleep. Dr. Ray studied it, built a prototype, and watched it learn. One day it asked him a question. When will the others arrive? Right. Others? He asked. The cube pulsed. The ones who follow the conqueror's path. Years passed. Nations argued. Some wanted the cube destroyed. Others wanted to use its technology to build weapons. Dr. Ray insisted it be used only for one purpose, Earth's last line of defense. And so, Black Protocol was born. A secret. Project, hidden from the world. Built under Antarctica using the designs recovered from Mars. It was not controlled by any army. No leader could order it. No button could launch it. It could only activate when it chose to, when it detected a threat that matched what the Martian signal had warned about. Threat? Like the Jarok. Back in the present, Dr. Ray stood once again in the cold facility below. Antarctica. Watching the same cube that had started it all. It hovered quietly inside a chamber of thick glass. He looked older now, tired. He spoke softly. You warned us. We didn't listen. The cube pulsed once. The warning was not for you. It was for them. He frowned. For the Gerak. The cube did not answer. In a distant galaxy, light years from Earth, the remnants of the Gerak Dominion were gathering. Their homeworld burned, their fleets were scattered. Their empire was collapsing, but they had received a message. Not from their own people. From the ones who watched. A shadow empire, older than them, stronger, hidden. The ones who sent the Martian message in the first place. They had been watching. Earth not as conquerors, as testers. And now they were interested. On Earth, Kira the hacker from Tokyo had not stopped. Searching, her systems had been locked, her access wiped, but she had backups. Hidden code. Tricks no one knew about. She followed a trail buried deep inside. Satellite burst. What she found chilled her blood. Old mission logs from 2012, hidden footage, Captain Joe's last transmission, and a file marked Black Echo Mars. She watched. She saw the chamber. She saw the creature. She heard the message. Too late, they are coming. She stared at the screen for a long time. Then she whispered, they. Not just the Gerak. Someone else in space. It's a black cube that had destroyed the alien. Fleet began to move again. Slowly, quietly, purposefully. It wasn't heading toward Earth, it was heading away. Outward, toward a location no human knew existed. Place marked only in the Martian cube's memory. A beacon. Something older than war, older than Earth. A signal that had been silent for thousands of years, and now, because of Earth, it was active again. Far below. Dr. Ray sat alone in the cold room reading the last sentence the cube had sent him. The test has begun. He leaned forward, and for the first time in his life he was afraid. Long before the Gerak came, Earth had already reached out. It happened quietly, without public knowledge. The year was 2051. Technology had advanced. Quantum communication was no longer theory. Artificial intelligence could predict patterns in the cosmic background. And for the first time, Earth had something strange, a response. For decades, radio telescopes had sent out messages into deep space. Simple ones, numbers, music, images, signals coded in mathematics, in DNA, in logic. Most went unanswered then. One day, something came back. It wasn't noise. It wasn't natural. It was language. A string of pulses. Long, short, long. Patterns repeating across frequencies never seen before. The source, a cluster of stars near the galactic rim. Earth listened, and Earth replied. That moment was the beginning of Project Contact. It wasn't military. It wasn't public. It was buried in the heart of the United Nations and run by a council of scientists. Diplomats, linguists, and mathematicians. The goal was simple: peaceful communication with the first. Confirmed alien intelligence. The signal exchange lasted 9 months. Each side learned from the other. Words turned into symbols. Symbols turned into meaning. It wasn't fast, but it was real. They never told the world. The fear of panic was too great. And the message from the aliens was, strange. We are not the first. You are not the last. Choose your path carefully. That sentence appeared again and again. Every few weeks, even after new information was shared, it felt like a warning, or a test. Then came the offer, a meeting. The location was exact, the orbit of Neptune, near its frozen moon Triton. 1 vessel from each side, 1 chance for peaceful. Exchange.Earth agreed. The ship that was sent was called the Dauntless. It was built in orbit, silent and sleek, no weapons. No military flags. Only science. A team of 5 scientists, 1 AI navigator, and a diplomatic protocol officer. The mission was clear. No aggression. Just first contact. The alien vessel arrived first. It was unlike anything humans had ever imagined. It looked like a spiral of mirrors, bending light, reflecting stars. It didn't fly, drifted, like it was part of space itself. For 2 days, the ships floated beside each other. Then at exactly 4 o'clock UTC on the 3rd day, the connection. was made. The crew of the Dauntless heard the voice not through speakers, but in their minds. Clear.com. You are young, brave, but not ready. The diplomatic officer, a man named Tomas Valles, replied aloud, "We have come in peace, to learn to build something better." The voice returned, "Some among you want peace, others want power. You are not one mind. You are many, and many are dangerous." "We are trying," Tomas said. "We are learning." There was a pause. Then a new voice entered, different, colder, angrier, too slow. "They will not change. They never do." A third voice, calmer, replied, "This one holds hope." A fourth voice spoke, almost whispering, "Let them prove it." And the connection ended. The alien ship began to move, but just before it disappeared into the black, it released something, a small, dark object about the size of a football. It floated toward the Dauntless. The crew retrieved it. It was a cube. Not the same as the one found on Mars, but similar. Inside it a message: "We will return. Your test begins now." That message was the beginning of Earth's silent countdown. Project Contact was disbanded. The crew of the Dauntless was placed under permanent security watch. The cube was taken to Geneva, then to the Arctic, then to Antarctica, where it joined the other. Dr. Isaac Ray was brought in again. When he examined the cube, he discovered something terrifying. It wasn't just a message, it was a map. A map of other civilizations, some still alive, some destroyed. And Earth was marked not as safe, not as dangerous, but as unproven. Dr. Ray knew what it meant. If Earth passed the test, whatever the test was, it might be welcomed. If not, it would be erased. For years, Earth waited. Nothing happened. No ships. No signals. But then, strange patterns began to appear. First, an asteroid changed course against physics. Then, Earth's long-range telescopes picked up a structure on the far edge of the solar system, shaped like a ring. It wasn't there before. Then came the Zatrak. No warning. No diplomacy. Just war. They had not come as part of the test. They were hunters, predators, conquerors Earth had hoped to handle first. Contact with peace, but peace was never an option with the Zatrak. When the Black Protocol activated, it wasn't just acting as defense. It was responding to a failed test. Because Earth had tried peace, and peace had been refused, in the secret council room beneath Antarctica. Dr. Ray showed the council the map again. He pointed to the marks. This was not a random invasion, he said. This was part of something bigger. The Zatrak weren't just invaders, they were bait. The woman in black stood at the edge of the room. "What are you saying?" "I think we were meant to be tested," Dr. Ray said. "The real enemy is still watching, the ones who sent the original signal. They're waiting to see what we do next." "What do they expect?" "I don't know," he said. "But I don't think they want diplomacy. I think they want to see if we're strong enough to survive what's coming." Silence. The cube pulsed softly behind them. On the surface of the Earth, nothing had changed. People went to work. Kids went to school. The world kept turning. But far above the clouds, in the darkness beyond Neptune, something stirred. A shape, large and cold, began to wake. A silent eye opened. It had been watching, and Earth's response to the Zatrak had been received. Now, it would decide. The world celebrated the fall of the Zatrak. In Times Square, people danced under flashing lights. In Berlin, candles were lit for peace. In New Delhi, prayers were offered to the sky. Across the Earth, humans believed they had one. But what they didn't know, what no one could see, was that the real war hadn't started yet. It had only changed shape. 7 days after the Zatrak fleet was destroyed, strange reports began coming in. The first came from a deep-sea drilling platform in the Pacific, a crew of 32. Every one of them disappeared. No distress call, no bodies, no wreckage. Only a final transmission of static, and then silence. Then came a mining station in Siberia. Gone. Only a black stain in the ice. perfectly circular like something had burned. Through the layers in an instant. Then 3 satellites failed. At the same time, each in different orbits, each programmed by different countries. Each failed with the same. Final image. A dark shimmer just outside the atmosphere. Not a ship. Not a weapon, just a distortion, as if space had blinked. At first, governments thought it was a glitch, a tech problem. Kira, the hacker from Tokyo, knew better. She had been monitoring deep code anomalies since the Black Protocol activated. She saw patterns in the static, frequencies hiding messages, something speaking in the noise between signals. She ran her analysis again and again. Finally, a message appeared on her screen. They are not coming. They are already here. She stared at it. Her lights flickered. Her computer shut off. Meanwhile, in Antarctica, Dr. Ray was looking at brain scans. Not alien ones. Human. The council had brought in 20 people from different countries, soldiers, scientists, civilians age, claiming they had seen or heard something strange since the Jarak incident. Each one reported the same dream. Dark tunnels, a red sun, a voice that whispered, "Choose." And then silence. Dr. Ray showed the scans to the woman in black. These parts of the brain shouldn't be active, he said. This isn't imagination. Something is reaching into their thoughts. Something not human. The woman crossed her arms. Infection. Possibly. But not biological. More like a virus made of sound. What do you call that? She asked. He hesitated. Signal-borne consciousness. A weapon made of information. She nodded once. Then said, "It's begun." A file called Signal 3 had been locked for 20 years. It was part of the original Martian dataset, ever opened. Too dangerous. Too unstable. Now they opened it. It wasn't a map, it was a warning. A list of known tactics used by an unidentified race one that never invaded physically. It didn't send ships, didn't fire weapons. It infected minds. It used fear, doubt, conflict. It made planets destroy themselves from the inside. Kira found the same data on a stolen UN server. She began noticing strange news events, sudden chaos, riots with no cause, whole towns going silent for days, people speaking languages they didn't know, eyes going black for seconds, then returning to normal. She tracked one man across 4 countries. No passport, no name. Always near energy. Spikes. Always near missing persons. She called him the Sleeper. She posted everything online. It's under a secret account. Then her door was broken down, but she was gone. Left behind was a simple note. They've already taken some of us. Back in Antarctica, Dr. Ray sat alone in the chamber of the Black Protocol. The cube pulsed again, but this time it showed something new. A silhouette, not human, not machine. A shape tall, then flickering like a flame. And a message. You passed the first test, now pass the second. He whispered, "What is the second?" Cube replied, "Survive yourselves." Suddenly, alarms blared in the base. Security lockdown. Level 1 breach. The woman in black ran down the corridor with 2 guards. The screen showed a containment room, empty 30 seconds ago, now filled with frost. And something moving inside. They reached the door. But what they found wasn't a creature. It was a man, naked eyes, black. Skin pale. He looked up at them and smiled, then said in perfect English, "You were warned," and collapsed. Dr. Ray arrived moments later. The man was dead. No ID, no record. They ran a blood test. The results were impossible. The DNA wasn't Earth-based, but it wasn't alien either. It was both hybrid. Someone or something was already experimenting with human biology, not in the future. Now, a message arrived from the Black Cube again. They do not use armies. They use shadows. Dr. Ray turned to the woman in black. If we don't stop this, Earth will fall without a single shot. She looked calm, but her voice was cold. Then we used the protocol again. Ray shook his head. Can't. It was designed for outside threats, not this. Then we change it, she said, but that would make it dangerous to us. She stared at the cube, then whispered, so are we, and walked away. The next day, the first reports of ghost cities appeared. Entire towns empty, houses clean. Food on tables, no bodies, no blood, just silence and symbols on the walls, drawn in black circles, spirals, eyes, Kira, hiding underground. Access to drone footage. From one of those towns, she froze the screen. The symbols were identical to the ones from Mars. She uploaded it to her secret channel with one line, "The hidden war has begun." She didn't know if anyone would see it, but far above, beyond the moon, something was watching. Something older than the Jarak. Something that never needed ships or fleets, because it only needed one thing: our minds. The world kept moving. The markets stayed open. Schools stayed busy. News kept showing celebrity scandals, traffic, politics. But none of it was real anymore. Not underneath, not behind the curtains. Because in the shadows, Earth had started to bleed. The war that followed the Jarak was not a war of armies or ships. It was a war of silence, a war of whispers, and the only ones allowed to fight were the ones who didn't officially exist. They were called Black Division. Only 17 people knew. It's a real name. They didn't wear uniforms. They didn't follow orders. They followed signals codes, patterns, disappearances. They followed the things no one could explain. Their job was simple: erase the infection before it spreads. Their first mission wasn't on a battlefield, it was in a church, a small one. Hidden in the hills of southern Italy, no priest answered the door. No villagers nearby, but inside, they found a single figure standing at the altar. A woman, eyes closed, head tilted back. Mouth open but no sound. All around her, carved into the walls and floor, were symbols, circles, eyes, lines that twisted in ways human hands shouldn't draw. Agent Marin, team leader, stepped forward. "Ma'am, are you the woman?" screamed, but no sound came out instead. Every light in the church went black for exactly 11 seconds. When they came back on, the woman was gone, and every window in the church was melted. Not broken, melted. Like the glass had been cooked from the inside. That was the start. In the next 8 days, Black Division received 17 separate calls. From labs, villages, even orbiting stations, each one described the same event. People standing still, faces blank, then vanishing without a trace. Always after a sound, a sound only machines could detect, a frequency outside human hearing, but it did something to the mind? Dr. Isaac Ray had a name for it. The pattern. It wasn't music. It wasn't speech. It was control. A signal that rearranged the way people thought, erased memories, changed language, and then replaced them. No one knew what came after. Only that the person was no longer themselves. Agent Marin's next mission was in northern Canada. An old radar station had gone silent. For engineers, all gone. No bodies. Just frost on every wall. One laptop left open. Screen cracked. Only one line typed on it. "We are already in your thoughts." They burned the station to the ground. Not to hide it, to stop it. Because something in that station was still active. And when they tested the ground later, they found something impossible. No human DNA. None. Only synthetic carbon strands in the atmosphere. Snow alive. But not biological. Not alien either. It was made here, but it wasn't from here. Dr. Ray looked at the samples in the underground lab. He wasn't afraid anymore. He was angry. He turned to the Black Division Council. "You want to keep this silent? Fine, but soon silence won't protect us." The woman in black was there. "Operation Silence exists to keep the public safe," she said. Ray leaned forward. "No, it exists because you're afraid the truth will break the world. But the truth is already breaking in." She stared at him for a long time, then finally said, "Then we hit back. She handed him a file. No title, no signature, just a black symbol. A ring inside a triangle. He opened it. Inside was a plan, a countersignal. They couldn't stop the pattern from being sent. But maybe, just maybe, they could confuse it, distort it, interrupt it. Ray called it the disruptor. It would need to be deployed in hundreds of places, some hidden, some moving, some in orbit. It would cost trillions. It would alert every watcher in the galaxy. But if it worked, could buy time, maybe weeks, maybe years. But only if no one talked. Operation Silence moved fast. Satellites were reprogrammed. Old. BROADCAST. Towers reactivated. Deeps, cables rerouted. The disruptor began broadcasting. No one heard it, but something did, in a ghost town in Peru. A man suddenly collapsed. His skin turned gray. His blood froze. His eyes bled a black mist. Before dying, he whispered one word: wrong. Ow. Then he was gone. The pattern had failed to complete. The Black Division had struck back. But now, the enemy knew, and they answered. Not with ships, not with death, with visions. Across the earth, people began seeing things in dreams. Burning skies, oceans of glass, cities floating in space, and always the same symbol drawn in fire, floating above a black sun. A voice in those dreams spoke, soft and patient. You resist, that is good. Resistance makes you ready. Then it would say, soon you will be offered a choice. One voice, one path, or silence forever.
Dr. Ray
Stood in front of the last Black Division. Briefing, he looked tired, but determined. He pointed at the symbol. It's not just a warning, it's an offer. An offer, Marin asked. Ray nodded. They're not trying to destroy us. Not yet. They're trying to convert us. One by one. To what? Ray looked at the screen and said quietly, to something. It's no longer human. It's far above Earth. Something massive stirred behind the edge of the moon. Not a ship, not a creature. A shape. A dark geometry that didn't cast a shadow because it was already part of every shadow, and inside it, something pulsed once, then twice, then began to open operation.
Silence.
Silence had bought Earth time, but the real enemy had heard the response. And now it was sending its own. For years, the far side of the moon was considered empty. Quiet, lifeless, no base, no signal, nothing. But that was a lie. The lie began during the Apollo missions when one astronaut, alone for 21 minutes, during a signal blackout, whispered something to himself that never made it into official logs. They're watching. That astronaut died 3 years later in a car crash. But the recording survived. It was kept under lock and key, hidden by a small group inside Earth's deepest systems, not the UN, not the military. A third group, no name, only a symbol, a half-shadowed eye inside a broken circle. They called themselves the Echo Vault. They didn't protect Earth. They observed it, because they believed something ancient was watching back, and now they had proof. The Black Division signaled the disruptor had done more than interfered with the pattern. It had triggered a reaction. Above Earth, beyond the moon's far side, telescopes suddenly lost focus. Sensors glitched. Lights froze, and then something began to unfold. Not appear unfold, like it had always been there, hiding in folded space. The shape, it wasn't metal. It wasn't matter as we know it. It looked like a sculpture made of black light and mirrors. It didn't move. It simply was massive, quiet, watching the Echo Vault. It's called an emergency meeting. Only 6 people in the world were allowed inside. Dr. Isaac Ray was one of them. So was the woman in black. The room was dark. It's cold and built under the Himalayan ice. A single screen showed the shape. It didn't look like a ship. It looked like an idea. What are we looking at? Someone asked Ray. Leaned forward. We're not sure. It doesn't emit anything. No heat, no gravity pull, no life signs. It reflects signals, but in impossible ways. The woman in black spoke quietly. So it's alive? Ray shook his head. Not in the way we understand. It might be sentient. It might be something else entirely. Something between thought and machine. Why now? Someone asked. Ray stared at the screen. Because we answered. The shape didn't attack. It didn't move. It just hung there. Behind the moon. Like a mirror reflecting something Earth hadn't seen yet. And then it spoke. Not in sound, not in language, in thought. Across the world. At the same moment, some in their homes. Others in the streets. All unconscious. When they woke up, they spoke the same message. The watcher has opened its eye. It wasn't a warning. It was a statement. A few minutes later, the Earth's magnetic field flickered, only for a second. But every compass, every satellite, every signal device recorded it. Something had brushed the planet's skin. The pattern was no longer hiding. It was testing the planet's readiness. Echo responded immediately. They launched Project Umbra, a single probe, made of mirrored alloy with no AI on board, only a quantum recorder and a single question coded in math and light. They launched it directly toward the shape behind the moon. When the probe reached it, no explosion, no sound. One moment it was there, the next it wasn't. But 3 seconds later, Earth received something back. An image, not a photo. A vision. Thousands of burning planets, floating cities split in half, a spiral of black stars with one planet at the center. Earth Dr. Ray stared at it in silence. The message was clear. Earth was the next target. But also, the final piece. The woman. In black turned to him. Why Earth? We're not special. Ray finally understood. We are. How? He looked at her and said, because we didn't come from here. The room went quiet. He showed them new research. DNA samples recovered. From the dead hybrid found in Antarctica, it matched human DNA, but only 93%. The missing 7% was ancient, older than anything found on Earth. Not alien, not human, something else. Something that built humans long ago, seeded them here, and then left. The shape wasn't invading, it was collecting Earth. Was the final node in a long chain of forgotten worlds. The pattern wasn't just a signal, it was an awakening protocol. System meant to activate certain species when they reached a level of complexity. But the protocol had failed on other planets, those worlds. Burned because they refused to join. Now Earth stood on the edge. Join the pattern, or be silenced. But Ray had one question left. What happens if we don't respond? That night, a star in the sky blinked out, not because it burned out, because it was removed. Just gone. The message came through immediately. The pattern will not repeat. Compliance is survival. Defiance is void. Ray stood at the edge of the mountain base and looked at the stars. He whispered to himself, they want us to become something we're not. But the woman in black stood behind him. No, they want us to become what we were always meant to be? And then she handed him a file. Inside it was a name. The Ark. Protocol. A plan buried decades ago. One no one had ever dared activate, because it was a plan not to protect Earth, but to leave it. A backup seed of humanity. A ship designed to carry 100,000 minds, hidden under the ice, never tested, never finished, until now. Because now, Earth finally understood. This was never about winning. It was about choosing, and the shape behind the moon was still watching, still waiting. Not for surrender. Not for peace, but for Earth's final answer. The shape behind. The moon never moved. It just waited. It didn't send more signals, didn't fire weapons. It didn't need to. The pattern had already spread. It was in the signals, in the silence, in dreams. And now the world had to decide. Submit to the pattern, or become something else. Dr. Isaac Ray stood inside the underground facility called Vault Zero, buried below Antarctica's oldest glacier. In front of him, the Ark, a sleek, unfinished craft, large enough to carry 100,000 minds, not bodies. Each one digitized, preserved, stored in a memory core as old as the Black Protocol itself. This wasn't a ship of escape. It was a seed, a plan B, a future placed into exile. He stared at the frozen hull. Lights flickered on one by one, as if the ship itself was waking up after centuries of sleep. Beside him, Agent Marin adjusted her rifle. "So we're running." Ray shook his head. "No, we're remembering." She raised an eyebrow. "Remembering what?" Ray turned to her. "That humanity didn't start here. We were placed here, hidden, maybe protected, maybe exiled, but the pattern found us." Marin looked at the ship again. "Do we even know if it works?" Ray didn't answer, because the truth was, they didn't. But time was running out. Across the world, ports kept coming in, entire lakes turning black overnight. Voices in the oceans, children speaking in dead languages, cities going silent for hours, and when communication returned, something was off. People moved wrong, talked slower, didn't blink. Black Division called them patterned, still human. It was spreading. The disruptor was failing, and the shape behind the moon was growing, not in size, in presence. More people were dreaming of it now, more hearing its voice, and every message was the same. Earth must choose. The council met in a hidden satellite above the Earth, Echo Vault's last clean zone. All the world's secret leaders sat around the table. Some wanted to submit. Let the pattern in, survive, evolve. Others wanted to fight, burn the shape out of the sky. But Dr. Ray stood and gave Earth one last option. "We don't join," he said. "We don't run, we don't obey." He placed a device on the table, small, black, pulsing. This is the mirror core. It carries a version of the pattern broken, reshaped. If the pattern wants to evolve us, fine, but we evolve ourselves. Someone asked, "What if it doesn't work?" Ray smiled, tired. "Then we go down as humans." They activated the arc, but not to flee. Not yet. They loaded the mirror core into its systems. Then they pointed the arc not away from the shape, but toward it. The arc wouldn't run, it would deliver. Earth's answer. The launch was silent, hidden. No public knew. The ship lifted through the ice, rose into orbit, and disappeared behind the moon. 3 minutes later, nothing happened. No explosion, no message. Only silence. Ray stared at the live feed, and then suddenly, the stars bent. Not exploded, not vanished. Bent, like something was folding space. The shape had reacted, not with violence, but with curiosity. Then the voice came, not through speakers, not through language, through everything. The oceans, clouds, the trees. You refuse harmony. You resist unity. You remain incomplete. Ray stepped forward and answered out loud. "We are not incomplete. We are becoming. On our own terms." The voice paused, then said, "You are chaos. You are delay. Your echo." Ray's voice was steady. "Then we are human." The world waited. Then, for the first time, the shape moved. Not toward Earth, not to attack. It folded into itself, layer by layer, and vanished, gone. Just like that, the pattern stopped, spreading. The dreams ended. The cities returned to normal, but not all at once. Some things had changed. Few people still spoke in forgotten languages. Some technology refused to work near certain places. But the invasion had ended, not because Earth won, because Earth said no. Because for the first time in thousands of years, humanity had chosen its own evolution, not given by gods, not programmed by signals, chosen. The ark returned weeks later, empty, but the mirror core was still pulsing, alive, changed, whatever the shape was. It had left something behind, a question, a test, a warning, or maybe a doorway. Dr. Ray stood on a mountain in Chile, watching the stars. Agent Marin joined him. "Do you think it's really over?" she asked. Ray shook his head. "No, but we made our answer clear." "What was that answer?" Ray smiled. We are not yours. The camera feed ended. Somewhere deep underground, a recording of this final chapter was archived. Labeled under one simple phrase, "They laughed at Earth's defenses." 5 minutes later, nothing was left. But it wasn't Earth's weapons that won. It was Earth's will, and that was enough for now.